tangible use case.
It's really
for people to understand.
I say it and like no one can understand, but like it's literally everything in the world like can be very efficiently turned into an NFT kind of mechanism, like paying your rent, like gym memberships. This is actually one of my favorite kind of things to think about. Instead of like the one-time setup on a gym membership, like so you pay $500 to open up your account at Lifetime, and then you pay monthly. Instead of paying $500 to Lifetime, what if you own the membership? You buy it from someone else on the secondary market that's right there in Lifetime. Like you pull up their tablet, you're like, oh, that's the cheapest pass to become a member of this gym. Let me buy the membership, and then now I pay monthly. And then when I want to leave, I can sell that membership for exactly what I bought it for, depending on like the influence that I brought to the gym. Maybe it's worth more, and I can sell that membership.
I haven't thought about it on that level of like. Boom. No, I'll be able to get it. I'll be able to get it just fine with that. Cool, man. We're here. Yeah, it's not a super hard intro yet, but no, it's cool to be here with you. I mean, it's been a long. I mean, you're somebody that I've talked about doing a podcast with a lot.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have you here for one of the first episodes. For y'all listening, this is none other than Hopdoonski, James Bryan himself.
Hello.
Yes.
Awesome. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man.
And you got everything all set up. It looks great.
It's come a long way. It's got a lot further to go, but as I said in the first episode, just getting started, and the rest will come.
So the hardest part for anybody, just getting started.
Literally. Yeah, no, I mean, I know you, like, when you started doing YouTube with Omni back in the day, what was, like, the starting point for you guys? And how did it develop for you?
Let's see, I think the first steps I took was because we were a clothing brand / like fitness brand. So I think the first steps were actually just getting the first line all together. And then once the line was out, I had gear to rep and content to shoot. That's when it just started. And it was supposed to be like a team effort, but I found myself doing everything. And it kind of died after I got a job up in Denver. I didn't have time. And it's really more excuses that just get in the way. But it was a really good experience for me to get, my entire brand going, and the experience of failing and trying and continuing to try. And now I feel like I'm in a good spot where I can help advise you or kind of push this thing a little bit further, hopefully.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, I look at other people who have the experience. Maybe, like, you didn't get to 1 million subscribers, but even just, like, from what you did build, I know there's a lot that was learned there in that process. So, yeah, I love tapping into that. And appreciate the knowledge that is gained, being able to get exposure to that. I definitely appreciate it.
I feel like one of the biggest hurdles I had was Omni was supposed to encompass, like, everything. But really, you need, like, a niche. You need to kind of focus on a niche market if you really want to take off and build a loyal following, because that following is going to be following you for that niche.
No doubt. And that's something that I'm still finding, like still trying to figure out right now. No doubt. I mean, I want to keep it kind of broad as to not cut myself off from being able to pivot and like adapt to what it could be. Yeah. But I know in the future, like, I'll find the things that do and don't work and then kind of be able to go from there as to what I want to put more time into.
Yeah. And as you build a community, you'll get a really good feel for, like, feedback and what they're looking for and what they want to hear more about.
Right. Yeah, you know a lot about it. I feel like you have a good eye, a good ear for community, given, like, your role that you've played at Omen.
Yeah. The most recent startup.
Yes, exactly. Talk about it a little bit. I think you're the best voice to talk about it.
So Omen really started from kind of just watching, like, the mania of people falling in love with NFTs, communities coming around these JPEGs, these pictures, and just, like, the massive amount of value that some of these pictures were
accumulating,
fetching, kind of like on, like, markets like OpenSea and all the Ethereum marketplaces, other chains, and just watching, like, kind of this whole thing start from 0 and go to 100 really quickly during the bear market. Now we're down, but it's still interesting because the communities are growing even stronger, in my opinion. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of craziness is still going on, even in down markets like this. But anyways, Omen is more of a target on very affluent community members who have like a lot of money and they really want to flex. They want to have that stronger connection to the communities that they're a part of. We 3D print NFTs. So instead of just owning a picture on your phone at home or at a gallery, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself in your office, you can have like an actual 3D representation. Anybody walking in and out can see you, and there's like a QR code on each of the prints. You scan the QR code, and then you get kind of transported to this entire world of NFTs that you never really heard about before.
That's something that I really liked because, you know, like I've talked about it a lot, is having that being the bridge aspect, like between, I mean, the whole thing is that Omen is the bridge between digital and physical ownership of art. And like, I love the origin of that name, like, you know, that slogan, if you may, that we've kind of coined over time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is cool because that was such a, I feel like, mental block for people.
Yeah,
and
I know.
It remains to be so, but it is I always liked the attempt of being able to kind of attack that main issue or like argument people have against NFTs, which is that it's just digital and like where's the value, but being able to bring that to life and display it.
Why am I going to drop a couple $1,000s on a picture and then they see the 3D print and they're like, well, there's definitely something more to this.
Right. And then it just starts the story too. Like it's a little weird when you come up to somebody and you're like showing them your phone and you're, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's like this stigma amongst like NFT enthusiasts that,
and it's impossible to try and explain to like people who've never heard about it before. Like it's so hard. It's such a weird concept to grasp. Yeah, this picture's worth a couple $1,000s. Like, and then you start talking about blockchain, and you've lost them in the first two sentences because you really can't keep up.
No doubt.
But art, especially physical art, has like a way of resonating with like everybody every day, like no matter what. Is what I've seen. That's why art galleries, art museums, like they've been around since the dawn of humankind. You know, well, yeah, pretty much. They had drawings in caves at the very beginning.
Drawings in caves and tablets, and then the old school paper and ink quill.
Who knows? 5,000 years from now, they'll see a little Omen print and they'll be like, "What?"
The plastic holds up.
Yeah,
right. The 3D printed plastic holds up. I mean, I don't know. It's just the beginning. Who knows? I mean, I know on the drawing board in the future when it's available to be able to 3D print and all sorts of materials. That excites me a lot.
Yeah.
Because then the door opens up to like, you know, the mixture of materials and
yeah, that's something I'm super passionate about, is like just merging technologies, like emerging technologies as far as 3D printing. Like I know that people are 3D printing like livers, like they're 3D printing organic matter and metal, and just there's so many things like
flesh
that in the future are going to come to life. Like I bet they'll be 3D printing like clones, like people's clones not too far, like maybe like 10, 15 years, we'll see another Wyatt Frazier. We don't need any more of those.
That's yeah, it'd be unfair. No, but I mean that's scary to think about. Cloning. Who do you think would be the first person to buy a clone of themselves?
Well,
Kanye or Elon Musk?
I've actually heard Elon say that he thinks there's definitely clones out there. So,
oh God,
Elon's got my vote. The man's worked so hard. Could you imagine? Like,
yeah, I could take it. Imagine what we'd have with two Elons.
Yeah, one
for Tesla and one for SpaceX directly.
Well, we've got 5 SpaceX launches today. I got to be at all 5 of them. You know. But no,
that's wild.
Joseph is the main engineer at Omen3D. He's the one who does like the modeling and the printing. I've gotten a little bit into printing now that I have my own resin printer, which is really exciting, and it's been opening my eyes to like the struggles in the process of actually like bringing these files to life. It's not always the easiest, but it is like a fun, stimulating challenge. And Joseph had his 3D printing company before, and so I kind of scouted him, brought him over into NFTs, explained the whole thing, and he doesn't want to go back. He says he loves it. We're having a good time so far.
And yeah, like those time lapses that Omen's starting to put out of the process of what it really takes to get a 2D, like the 2D NFT files, and 3D model them into, you know, printable sculptures is very impressive to me as somebody that's not dialed in on Blender to begin with, but then also just knowing the like how tedious that process can be.
Yeah, it's a lot of work because it can take like months or years to like figure out how to use Blender, and then you got to add like another few months and years to figure out how to like 3D print properly. Right. And then the real place where we shine, where no one's going to be able to catch us, is like our painting abilities, because that takes a real like next level talent and attention to detail that not any average Joe can like master all three of those things. So we have a nice, solid team.
No doubt. Joe's dad is a wizard.
What's the like initial investment for something like this? Like for like a good 3D printer that's sustainable to do all this stuff?
Well, it's hard to say sustainable because as you grow, like the sustainability target kind of changes. So like Joseph, he spent, I want to say like he said like $14,000 on his 8 printers. If you had one printer, like you could make it work, but there's no sustainability as far as like growth. You can sustain that one like base layer, but as you want to grow and continue to do more things, like the most recent piece that we're really excited about was Someone's a Mutant. And so that's a mix of FDM resin or FDM printing, which is just the regular 3D printing that everyone's used to. And then there's like a resin print that we had to add on top, and it's more like a clear material. So it brought like the water on this piece. It made it really pop. It made it look like water or glass.
Yeah, it looked great. Mm-hmm. Is that on the Omen Instagram yet?
Yeah, it's on the Instagram.
Yeah, if you want to look that up, it's there. If you want to get a visual of what he's talking about right now between those two different like materials, because I think it's just visually you could look at every other piece that's put out that Omen's put out so far and see that like that level change in product. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, of course I know a little bit, but for the sake of conversation, like what's on the like horizon?
So right now we're just trying to build out the core community. And the really interesting thing about NFTs is and really most investments and what opens up as far as crypto versus like traditional investing. Traditional investing, like those companies already put in like a ton of work and they've already gone from 0 to 100, and now you're able to invest in them. As far as NFTs and crypto, it really allows like people to get in on the ground floor. Right. So what we're trying to do is build that ground floor brick by brick, and just like get really solid, passionate community members involved that want to see more 3D physical twins of the NFTs. And as we build more and more community and we get a few more people involved, we are currently working on an actual collection. And the point of the collection is to reward those early investors with like a crypto token that can be redeemed for more physical passes. So we'll see how it comes out. There's a whole lot because there's literally no other NFT project that's putting in this kind of utility from the outset. So we have a lot to like factor in, and we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We don't want to end up with like 5,000 orders that we can't complete.
Right.
So
that is the biggest roadblock.
Yeah,
has been and it, kind of continues to be is that manpower to ambition dynamic.
And that's really the main reason why we want to take it slow with these first community members, because we don't know what we can make until we start making it. Like that Algowana a few months ago, we would have been like, no, like there's no way we could do this. But now we're getting to a point where we can like really start to experiment and do some crazy art that no one else has ever done or seen. And it's just super exciting as we push the boundaries and we figure out where our targets can be realistically.
Like you're talking about, like, I don't know, what just came to me was that evolution of when you and Joseph first started talking and the conversations there of like the geographical maps.
Yeah.
Like to think it came from there.
I tried to start them so simple, like something that like...
Well, that was very tangible, and even in itself was still a little weird. But then to be where like Omen is now that's awesome to see.
Yeah, it's definitely moving along, and the pieces that they're pumping out now, that we're pumping out now, is definitely like getting me super hyped for the future, because I think people are going to love this type of stuff. And we even had that 4-foot Alchemon piece that we sent out to New York for a New York NYC NFT event. That was like pushing boundaries too. Like Joseph was
logistically, because that wasn't just
overworking himself. Yeah, that was 134 pieces all into one piece, and then I had to build a box myself to ship it because they just don't sell boxes like that.
Great.
Yeah,
that was a crate at that point. Yeah.
And
every part of that was a test. I mean, the printing, the shipping, the handling it on the other end. Mm-hmm. It was unfortunate that none of us from Omen were able to make it there and have hands-on with it. But I think it also proved unique in the sense that we were able to trust the community we were interacting with. And
I think it really displayed like our ambition and like what we're here for, like what we're about. We're here for the challenge, and we're here to to put this art in front of as many people as we can at any event. And eventually we'll get there, and hopefully we'll be at like a Bored Ape Yacht Club event just with this big 6-foot Bored Ape or a Fluff World event.
From your perspective, do you see Omen, or like do you want Omen, in your opinion, would you rather it be something that remains, and I guess I understand it can be, it could be doing two things at one time, but, we talk a lot about the partnership with Fluff World, partnering with them to bring pieces to life for their events, or like it's always been an ambition of mine with Omen to do like Omen like Fluff House, but events for Omen, right?
Yeah, well,
art galleries and stuff like that from other NFT projects.
I really do think it can be like a case of the more the merrier. I think as we build out our brand, there's not going to be anything wrong as long as we're being very transparent with the community. Like, hey, we have some involvement with Fluff World. We have our project. We have these other Algorand projects. Like, let's try and display all of them at this gallery. So you're not just looking at one piece. Let's look at a bunch of beautiful art, a bunch of beautiful blockchain technology that's all like converging at this one spot. And that's kind of the point of portals and Omen, and to bring it all together into one physical thing that you can see. And it could be multiple physical things that you could see. And it really depends on like how big we can build the team, because as we were already saying, like it takes a lot of talent to like get to this point where you have 3D printing, you have the modeling, and then you have the painting. So we'll have to build out a team, and that's the idea behind raising capital, so we can build out a team so we can handle multiple projects at a much more efficient pace.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, that is, and that'll come naturally.
Yeah,
for sure. And that makes me think of who's out there maybe listening right now, or who will be ran into in the future that is kind of sitting on a bunch of money looking at like crypto and NFTs. And, like I've started to learn more and more about private equity raising. Mm-hmm. And it's like kind of crazy to me to think about, I mean, just how much like capital is out there to be raised.
Oh yeah.
It's just sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So I think that would be.
And really the biggest obstacle for NFTs is just people like just don't know about it.
Right. I know you touched on it, but I won't, before the conversation goes too far from it. Can you re-explain what portals are? Because those are kind of newly released, and I know you can talk about them now.
Yeah, we can talk about them. It's just like, it's kind of hard to, it's hard to like really paint the picture without the art. And so we're still working on the art.
But it's its own collection.
Yeah, it's its own collection that we're launching. And the whole idea is you earn these tokens. The tokens can add up, accumulate over time, and then you're able to like redeem them for free prints, which is a utility, that most projects have. That's like our bread and butter that no other NFT project will ever be able to like bring at the same level that we do. We can copy all of their utilities, like they do raffles, they'll do just like different utility stuff that we can get into later as we talk about other projects. Mm-hmm. But our main bread and butter is bringing like physical prints, and also a little layer. And I believe in layers. I think the more layers and the more like intricacies that you have for people to be involved at different levels really opens it up for like everybody. So as we're focusing on like the top 10% of collectors across all chains, we can also have like a good, easy way for newbies to get involved as well.
When you say the top 10% to like newbies, just think for like clarification, what do you mean by that?
So like the top 10% of like NFT collectors are kind of like our niche market, like our dream clients, the people that we'll get the most business from, because these are people who have demonstrated that they have capital, and they've demonstrated that they have like an actual true fandom to these NFTs.
The whales, people that aren't just dipping their toes in.
Because the newbie's not going to come in, buy their first NFT, and then get a 3D print of it for 4 times the value of their NFT. The only people crazy enough to do that are people who are like super visionaries who see the future and know where this is going anyways.
Right. That's a good point.
But really, to focus on those 10%, we're implementing like a cool burn mechanism for the portals, and this is much further out. But basically, you get as many portals as you can get, which is the whole idea. Like you want your holders to be so bullish on you that they dump as much money into these digital collectibles as they can. And the idea is you get 8, you burn all 8, you sacrifice all 8, and then you form like this brand new NFT, and then that new NFT, referred to as a hyper portal, can earn you like a significant amount more shrooms than those 8 alone would have earned you. And so the shroomies are the tokens that we're talking about. So you're in the shroomies, you're in these tokens, and as you get a hyper portal, you're able to earn more and more, which means you can get maybe like 2 or 3 physical prints a year, which is something that we can realistically do, and it'll pay out over time. We just have to figure out how to not overextend ourselves 5 years from now and not have to be putting out prints forever. Right. And that's the beautiful thing about tokenomics and cryptocurrency is like, it's really up to us how we set up these smart contracts and set up the entire ecosystem. We can have it so it like kind of slowly sustains itself into a point where it ends, or to a point where we can continue to add to the ecosystem. So, for example, we have Internal Bakery. We can plug him, I guess. He's working on some 2D art that's going to go with our collection that's going to help like explain really what we're thinking about. And if we want, in the future, we can bring him on to make his own collection, introduce that collection to the Omen ecosystem, and then those pieces that he puts out can earn a much less amount of shrooms, and then that can couple with the other portals. And as you grow and grow, like we can really build out something special, hopefully.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not... I know that's a lot for listeners that like are not super tapped into crypto.
Yeah.
Like I even know everything you just said, and that's like still a lot. Yeah. Like I sometimes forget just how many layers there are, like their layers already are like in the works.
It's definitely the hardest part for me, like, because I do find myself talking to a lot of people who've never heard about crypto, and it's quite literally the only thing I'm able to talk about because I'm so far into the rabbit hole at this point. Like I just have so much information about NFTs and crypto that I don't even know what's like. I don't know anything about what's going on with Kim Kardashian anymore.
Right? Have you ever seen Transformers? You know the second Transformers?
Yeah.
If you can recall the scene where he's like in the physics class and he's like, he reads that book, and then he's like, "That's you fucking talking about Omen." But I love it because it's like that's I know you well enough to like that's like so much passion that comes through when you're talking about like Omen or NFTs, like in general, NFTs specifically. Like it just hits this different like wire for you. I always like enjoy. I mean, I enjoy whatever that like switch is for anybody. And I know it's NFTs for you.
Yeah.
Like, at what point? What was the first like? What put you on? I don't think I've ever asked you that because I think like it was when I met you. You'd already kind of started getting into it.
Yeah, we can go way back. My very first crypto investment ever, and I'm always gonna hate myself for this. I bought 400,000 Doge back when it was like less than like 1/10 of a penny. And had I held on to it, you know, I'd have like $500,000 or whatever. But I sold that pretty much immediately. And I kind of just got more involved, stuck around through that little bear market that I pretty much got in like at the top of that cycle. Stuck around for that bear market, really like got some more education, found myself super involved with Algorand, which is, I think, like the most advanced blockchain as far as all layer ones go. And you have to do your own research, obviously, to verify that yourself. It's a... You don't trust, you verify. Anyways, as I got more and more involved, I started to see NFTs pop up. I think the first one that really catches everybody's eye is the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Oh, yes. I remember when they minted. Only if I'd believed.
Yeah. So people were able to get those for like less than $100, like for months and months and months. And then here we are today, and the cheapest one you can get is $100,000. So as I saw like prices, like at first, like when I saw them, I was like, why are people like just like everybody else? Like, why is anybody spending this much money on a picture? And then as you like really like start to do the research on it, it's just a different way to build community and to build a brand, because now instead of one singular team like putting everything they have into building a brand, now you have up to like 10,000 people building this brand for you, because they are financially incentivized to also make this brand something bigger than it is. And just by multiplying from like the 5 core team members to like the couple hundred, couple thousand that you have now from the collection that you've launched, it really just takes you to a whole new level. And I think it's taking pretty much every brand, Web2 brand, typical companies that you
like
see,
Adidas.
It's taking them all by storm. Like they're all getting interested. Nike is involved, Adidas, like literally all the Web2 brands that are like trying to keep their finger to the pulse on what culture is and what their consumers want. They're all kind of tiptoeing and getting into crypto and NFT specifically.
What was the first NFT you bought?
So I mean, it's good because everybody gets rugged. But so the first NFT I brought was actually on Algorand, which is crazy because everybody starts like on Ethereum, and that just shows you like how much research and how far ahead I'm kind of thinking. So far ahead most of the time that it ends up like not working for a while, which is fine. I'm a very patient person, and after having as many fails as I have financially, like I'm perfectly content just sitting and waiting because I know that things will happen eventually. But I got this custom made Algorand NFT that I spent like 100 algo on at the time, maybe like $100. The creator of that ended up rugging, like he had just left the ecosystem. So it's not really worth anything. But from there, I was able to branch out and get into some better opportunities. And it's a kind of a sleazy story how I got into Fluff World. So I was sitting here looking at all these Ethereum projects that were like worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was like, well, what's stopping anybody from taking these collections and putting them onto another chain? And so I started to literally like copy, right-click save, like as people say, and I started to mint onto Algorand, just in my own personal wallet, just kind of get like a feel for like what minting is and just wanting to flex, like, hey, I have these worthless Algorand NFTs that are on another chain are worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but on this chain, they're not worth anything because they're not the same thing. And so I found Fluff World, which if you look at them, like you realize really quickly, you can't right click save those. Like those are so far advanced as far as what NFT technology is capable of right now.
Because they're videos.
Yeah, they have the videos, music, like animated fluffs, like doing specific things. And that's when I like really started to realize like the power of community and chain and like having the right technology and kind of like the right vision and really thinking more than just art. Like there's so much more to NFTs than just the art. And a lot of people, even in NFTs, just don't realize that still. So we're taking our time, and it's totally cool.
It'll come.
Yeah, and I think you really have to think, like, when the internet was first coming around, like, a lot of people didn't believe in it. They didn't have any idea of, like, what was actually possible. And now you can't even explain how the internet works, but everybody knows that it's here and it's not going anywhere. And I think NFTs are on that same trajectory where it's like we're at a ground floor level and everybody can get involved. It's all a level playing field. And there's really just a massive amount of opportunity over the next few decades to get involved and build out something for yourself and for a community that you want to cultivate.
I'm definitely looking forward to the next cycle.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we got to get through this crazy bear with everything going on.
Well, that's the thing is that, like, in every other, like, most of the past cycles have been pretty linear and, like, 2 to 3 year turnarounds, like, cycle patterns. But I feel like there's so much amounting right now on this one that, who knows, it might be a lot longer than 3 years. It might be 5 years. I don't know.
I subscribe to the feeling that it's going to be less.
Really?
Because what I'm seeing is traditional markets, like everything is getting hurt. Like real estate, traditional stock market investments, like everything's going down. Crypto obviously is going down, and it can go down. It's like a lot more volatile than these other things because of the amount of liquidity that's in the market. But what I'm noticing is like the more niche you get, like the less volatility there really is to the downside. Like Fluff World, even though everyone else's bags are like still tremendously down from when they first got in, like Fluff World's still like maintaining a good like layer, like level from the first time that I got in. And I think it's just because it's just so far out there that nobody in NFTs really knows about it. There's not enough like volatility for it to really go down from where it is. And I think that there's some really like beautiful opportunities if people just do their own research. They can find other collections that are like that are kind of just like at their floor and they can't go down much further. Obviously, who knows what happens with China and Taiwan and Ukraine and Russia and the U.S. Everything just going berserk right now. But I think once we come out of this, we'll see probably the most amount of millionaires that have ever been created in like one single time frame.
The fact that you say that brings up a huge thought that's been in my head recently. I mean, been in my head for the last year, but it's just like growing and growing, which is the like, I don't want to say pressure, but just realization that we are coming up on a once in a lifetime like wealth generating opportunity, and like more so than 2008. I have a feeling Like you said, this will be where so many millionaires are going to be created. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, so many people are going to be burned.
Yeah, and that's something else to consider too. Like in the previous cycles, it was really just coins. Like there was just tokens. Like now we have NFTs, and there's just like it's a much different vibe, because instead of just, oh, I own this Ethereum and that's it. Now it's like, oh, I own this JPEG. I'm a part of this community. I want to see this community succeed because I'm involved, financially incentivized. I'm not going anywhere because I know in a few years, I've seen it so many times play out already. Like I might as well just stay and help build this community up. And I think I think people who stick around and get involved in this bear market are going to reap the rewards on a level that a lot of people can't even comprehend.
I just think back to that crazy guy we met at ETH Denver. You remember when we
he got us into the Telegram?
Was it? Yeah, that guy. What a wow. Yeah. I mean, but like I think he was like the perfect embodiment of that, like crypto, like
right?
the crypto millionaire.
He got in early, and now he just travels around and
he's like, "Fuck it, dude! I just
joined my Telegram."
He's like, "I'm looking for a house out here. I don't know. I just made a one-way road trip out here." Like, it's like, okay, man, sick.
That's the thing. You never know who's like bluffing.
Right. It was hard to tell, but
he looked like he could have been homeless, but honestly,
he was about 60%
those are the multimillionaires.
Theo Vaughn would say 60% homeless. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, that was a good time. Honestly, the start of this year was great between LA and Houston and then Denver.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's an interesting topic. Is like some of these NFT communities can really like afford you social networking opportunities that you would just never, ever be able to be a part of. So we got to go out to LA for a Super Bowl party, but it was marketed as a Super Bowl party, but really we got to meet some of the smartest people like in the world who are working on NFTs, and we got to drink with them, play beer pong with them, and just have a good time with these people that we've anonymously known over the internet. And now we get to like put faces to them and build like real connections. And I know some people like are able to get jobs. Like I'm sure I could have gotten a job, but I'd much rather build out my own IP and my own community and my own stuff. Much more entrepreneurial like that than wanting to work for someone else. And then we got to go to South by Southwest, which is just a whole nother level of social networking and exposure, and just like the quality of like what kind of parties these NFT collections can really put together.
Yeah, it's again like it was going to those events that really made me, when thinking about Omen, want to become like a platform to host those kind of events at. Because
right,
like I don't know, I love social networking. Like I love socializing and conversation, and then when you bring and pull together a group of people like that are all involved in the same like space, or at least the same idea.
Yeah, there's so much
South
passion,
by Southwest,
just all in one spot. So much energy.
The conversations you get out of that, like the people you meet, and like the intention behind them, like more often than not, like that's just a great time.
Yeah,
and
they even had like other projects there, like talking about their stuff, like Jadu's like one of the coolest projects out.
Like Fluff House is one thing, because I feel like Fluff House was, it was all like fluff. It was either people who owned
played
Fluffs,
beer pong with the Jadu people,
right? Well, I mean, there were the neighbor, but I mean, like as far as like on stage, right? Like kind of like speaking to the crowd. But in like South by Southwest, there were so many different venues. I mean, we were really around Fluff World, but then there was like the Doodles and like all those like in the city. So like that was cool. That's something that I see for Omen, is like being able to bring in other projects to have a stage.
And it's crazy to think about, because you don't see any other company or any other like industry like having this big of an impact on a city. Like crypto came in and took over the entire
other than
Austin,
like Formula
Texas.
1 or some shit.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
yeah, they do have like their races, and then they can. Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Like the Super Bowl, of course,
right?
But like crypto and NFTs, if you consider like less than 5% of the population is in Bitcoin, and then less than like 1% of that population is in NFTs. And Tanner can Google check that or whatever. but like a very small amount of people are even involved in NFTs, yet it can still come in with all this power and energy and passion all in one spot and take over an entire city for like an entire week.
No, that's a good point.
Beautiful to see, and it's really hard to like wrap my mind around, because I don't see Amazon like throwing an event that could do something like that. Like I'm sure they could, but it would be very forced. It wouldn't be nearly as natural or organic as what we're seeing.
I think like the closest you may be able to like associate, like compare it to, would be like fashion.
Yeah.
I guess like a fashion show. But even then, yeah, it's not the same.
And there's a lot of parallels
even at all.
If you compare like some of these NFT projects and fashion. There's a lot of parallels as far as like just the flex on other people that know what that is. Like, oh, I'm showing up with a Gucci hat and everybody knows that, or Versace, whatever.
You got the Bored Ape.
Yeah, and just like kind of the innovation of culture, which is really interesting to watch unfold. Like we kind of just brought up for a brief moment. We're seeing like a lot of culture NFT development on Reddit right now, and it's super interesting to watch.
What is going on with Reddit right now? Because I'm not aware at all. But
no, you're fine. So, I mean, I know a little bit from my rough understanding. It's like they have boneless NFTs, so it's not like on chain. They have the Reddit logo. So they have an entire collection of different. Your icons.
Yeah,
you can customize like the Reddit logo basically to fit, like make your own digital avatar, and they're calling them digital collectibles instead of NFTs. Which is fitting because they're not like on chain. They're just like a part of the Reddit platform. So you go in, you can like customize your own little Reddit avatar. And as you get like certain add-ons or you have like special artists that you want to buy from for like very specific avatars, you pay them money. And so this guy, one of the guys, I'm sure a lot of people did it, but very recently, like within a short amount of time, within like 2 weeks, spent like $100 on this avatar and now it's worth like $30,000. And it's not even on chain. And so it's interesting to like kind of get a feel for what crypto Twitter thinks like that means, and what like Reddit people are now coming into the crypto Twitter space. They're getting super involved, and they're asking questions, and you're just watching like these two cultures kind of combine over like the same idea of like a digital asset, and having these like avatars that represent you and your brand and everything you're trying to be about and display for other people.
That's anyway. So you're saying there's been artists that have like put themselves out there on Reddit that are like just
so
have exceptional talent at making the avatars?
Without even knowing anything about crypto and NFTs. Well, I think the people who were originally involved kind of knew exactly what they were doing. Like they were just making like NFTs, but without the chain. But from what I understand, there's 3 generations for the Reddit avatars. The first generation was like a group of like 15 artists. So they came up with all the original traits, the original bodies, and like color schemes and everything. And those people put out the first generation of avatars, which I'm sure you could get for like $10, $20 or whatever. And then the second generation came out where it had even more artists that were involved. But like I said, none of these artists like know like the power of NFTs and how much creator power is over on the blockchain side. And so they kind of just get like a taste of working for this community, putting art out for this community, and then watching the community kind of take it and run and do whatever they want with it. And now they're seeing like the benefits of like kind of working together like on one focused marketing kind of scheme, which is now we're watching Reddit just kind of explode. And it's interesting because Reddit has the same amount of active monthly users as Twitter does, like 460 million, 450 million.
I love Reddit, like, which is why like I was kind of surprised. Like I was on Reddit today. I didn't realize that was going on.
Yeah, it's causing a lot of buzz. Like a lot of people are getting really interested in what's going on with crypto, and I think that's mainly why we saw like a 10% rise today on crypto prices. Like the overall crypto market cap, I think went up like 3% today, something like that. Which is when we're talking like trillions, we're talking up to like trillions of dollars. It's a lot of money that's being moved, and a lot of liquidity and new people that are being exposed and wanting to get involved. And so it'll be interesting to see where they all filter to, because there's at this point the NFT marketplace across multiple chains is really developed out, or it's getting developed out, and we're going to see where people naturally want to go to as we have these massive onboarding events. I'm hearing a lot of people compare it to when NBA Top Shots came out, like having that same amount of exposure to like new people who weren't involved before. So we'll see where it goes, but it's really interesting to watch unfold.
I'll be interested to see if they go to, if they stay pretty, because like I feel like people on Reddit are, I feel like they're pretty in touch with like internet culture and kind of digging deeper on things. Like a lot of people that are on Reddit consistently are people that are familiar with subthreads and like research, I guess like there's a deeper
Yeah,
level
it's a
of
deeper
research
level
that
of
goes on
research
Reddit.
because it's not limited to 280 characters
Right.
like on Twitter. Like
Right.
on Reddit, you can put your entire life story
So
in
I feel
one
like
little thread and get upvoted.
Yeah, right. It's like I think that's an interesting community of people to see, like you said, where they'll go place themselves. Because when you have like the regular retail investor hop on Ethereum and they're buying, Bored Apes or
Whatever's
well, like
trending on the
right, the
marketplace.
like super trendy shit and getting rug
Yeah.
pulled. I feel like the typical Reddit user might
little bit
naturally
more
do more
research.
research, and then see if they land on somewhere like Algorand. They're buying the first NFT on Algorand versus Ethereum.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that being a trend, or maybe even Cardano.
Yeah. Well, actually, Cardano was pumping last week too. There's this collection called Ape Society, and they went from like a couple $100s to like a couple $1,000s on a floor price, and they have like this entire like ecosystem they're building out for Ape Society. But that's like the number one NFT on Cardano. And it's just always interesting, like listening to these new trends that are developing on other chains that I'm not like really involved with, and just listening to like what they're looking for and what's going on. This Ape Society, the way it was described, seems like a lot more developed out than like Bored Ape Yacht Club, but not nearly as developed out as like Fluff World. And as you hear these people trying to explain their entire collection and like what's going on over here, it's like getting my brain thinking like we got to come up with like easier ways to explain to people like what's going on. Like
Right. It's kind of what I was challenging you on too, with
It's
asking
so
about
hard.
Omen, just because like I know a lot of people listening are gonna be like less knowledgeable about NFTs, and that's something that's like that is very hard to do. Like with anything, it's kind of like the elevator pitch, elevator pitch for Omen. What is the elevator pitch for crypto or NFTs? And that's like a very hard thing to get across to people in a few sentences, or like at least a core concept usually. But because again, like you said, like to really become knowledgeable of it, there's so much listening and reading and research. Like to remain knowledgeable, like I've kind of, as you know, like I've kind of taken my foot off the gas of like where my attention is with everything else going on in my life right now. And, hearing about like, Cardano, like I'm the Cardano guy and I didn't know that happened. But like, that's just, it takes a certain level of like committed research to stay knowledgeable.
And it's because this space
lot.
specifically, because as we already talked about, like when you have, instead of just a team of 5 people, it's a team of 10,000 people all working towards the same goal.
It evolves.
The space moves so quickly. And so it is really hard to keep track of. And I think that's where Twitter Spaces kind of stands out, because it's like the fastest, most elastic way to get information across in like in a centralized manner. You kind of listen to these people talk, and other people from multiple communities can come up and share information, and then next thing you know, like Cardano's ripping because everybody's talking about it.
Now that you're here, that's a good point. Now that you're here, we're in the studio. What do you think about the Twitter Space idea? We might have to start that. It might be time.
No, I think it's definitely time. I think, you just have to start. Like this guy that I'm really listening to on Twitter Spaces, he just does it every single day. He'll do like 4 shows a day, and I think he's talking about doing 5, and those are like hour-long shows. So he's just sitting literally every moment that he has free time wise, he's just sitting on Twitter Spaces talking to like 700, 800, couple thousand plus people, like all at once, and he's doing that literally 24/7, 365.
What's Twitter Space?
Twitter Space?
What is that?
It's like it's like a live stream, but it's just like voice chat, but you can host it's like pretty much like like public town speaking is how that's how I visualize it. It's like the modern day of like hosting like a public circle.
Clubhouse. You ever heard of Clubhouse? Okay, well, it was basically like he's saying, like you have like a couple speakers, like the hosts, pretty much. So like you can have up to 3 hosts on Twitter Spaces, and so these people are the popular people who are able to bring in like more people to listen, and then those 3 hosts can like kind of go through and curate speakers, and so the speakers will come up, everybody else will stay in the audience.
Like you can like raise your hand, like you can like tap on your phone, and be like, hey, I want to speak, and they can like elect you to speak, and then you come up, add your like 2 cents on the topic, and then you're talking to 900 people that can all kind of organically have this conversation together.
Can you make money off this?
I mean, technically, right? In the same way I
depends.
could off of what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
the opportunity is there, but it's not necessarily like directly there. That's how I'd put it.
We'll see as these social media platforms really develop and kind of
Elon Musk in at Twitter. I'm curious to see what truly turns of it, because I'm kind of a fan of it with his like what he said he wants to do with Twitter. Yeah, he's gonna fire 60% of the staff.
Well, I saw one tweet and it put it really well. Like, why do we have 10,000 employees for one update a year?
Literally.
I mean, that's very true.
That's the definition of inefficiency.
Inefficiency, and Elon's all about efficiency, baby.
Right.
Electric teams.
Yeah, I'd love to see what comes of it, because I have my own theories about Mr. Elon Musk and Satoshi Nakamoto.
I want to hear about that. I want to hear about your. What do you got to say about Elon Musk?
This is some very tinfoil
opinions
this
too.
Is very tinfoil type stuff, but I truly believe, and I've read Elon Musk's autobiography.
You think he's Satoshi?
I've done more research on like Bitcoin and stuff than anyone else I know. And I literally think Elon Musk is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Then what do you think his drive would be to push Dogecoin over Bitcoin?
I think he's playing like wizard 3D chess that none of us could even none of us could even wrap our mind around. And I think he knows that if he was outed and like tagged as Satoshi Nakamoto, like a lot of the stuff, because like the whole thing about Bitcoin is decentralized. There is no, like, the main thing about it is that there's no one single point of failure. There's no one single person to like point at and be like, hey, don't do that, like stop doing that. Governments aren't going to be able to come at any single entity. And if Elon, even though he's the richest man in the world, and I'm sure he's getting to a point where he could open up and start to do his own things and really own it, but I also think he knows that like Bitcoin is kind of a dinosaur compared to some of these other coins that he's now inspired to bring to life. And I think there's just better opportunities. I'm sure Doge was just an absolute meme that a lot of people were involved in. I think he did a poll. He was like, what's the people's coin? And like most people picked Dogecoin. So I think he just ran with it.
Just ripped it. Yeah, Dogecoin. Yeah, that's true. I remember when he made that that poll. I mean, that's kind of what I love about Elon Musk, is that he's like a kind of, he's for the culture.
Yeah.
Usually. That is interesting. I mean, I feel like if there's anybody alive right now, at least in the public eye, if it is somebody in the public eye that's kind of like, is Satoshi, but also has their own public figure, like Elon Musk, it would probably be Elon. I could see that. I could see that's tangible to me, that he would have the brain, because he made PayPal. He understands transactions,
exactly,
money, and
the
like,
PayPal mafia.
That's
directly
crazy.
Into like they reached their legal limits with PayPal, like what they could do across borders, transacting money like from country to country. And so his roommate in college was actually like into blockchain and like coding blockchain and stuff. And I just think there's way too many things that people just are overlooking, and they're like, well, he's already done all this stuff. Like, there's no way he could have also done this, but it's Elon Musk.
Yeah,
he has 5 clones walking around. So.
And he's just joking about how it's possible.
Yeah.
That's wild, actually. I mean,
but I really hope as he takes on Twitter, he makes it easier for creators to kind of monetize like the information and stuff that they're doing. We already see the hexagons on Twitter, the Ethereum enabled PFPs, the Ethereum NFT, like PFPs that are like verified with the hexagon shape.
Profile pictures.
Yeah. And that's interesting to watch because that's before Elon. So maybe he'll run with that a little bit further, because I think it's a pretty well-known fact that like as far as crypto and NFTs go, Twitter is really the space to be. It's the place that all the NFT degens are located.
Well, that's why I said like the town. The town square kind of meeting, like the modern day version of it. That's what Elon Musk like talks about a lot. I've heard him say that a lot, and I think that's a good way to put it, because it is like just this focal point of like communication. Yeah. Which is also like plays into like, I like that Twitter Spaces are a thing, because I think podcasts and now Twitter Spaces especially tap into that like paradigm shift of what used to be newspapers and what used to be like books being written has really transitioned over into voice, like audio, in the way that we communicate on a broad, like pushing messages out to people. Like it has become voice.
And playing on that, like before, like we're watching the evolution of just information being given to you.
Right.
Now,
not everybody can read. A lot more people can listen.
Well, not only that, but like you're reading the newspaper, you're reading the books, you're reading articles or whatever. But now you can actually input information. You can be a part of that article being created and being pushed out, and you can pick and choose what information you want to relay onto your following.
Talking about Twitter Spaces in that example.
Yeah, and it's not like you had your newspaper and now you're going to go, oh, wow, look at this fact. Let me go show everybody around who already own the newspaper. Now it's like an open dialogue that communities can have together, and I think that's really where we need to go to really get like efficient things happening. like I would love to see in the future, like utilizing blockchain technology to make those kind of like real votes. Like I have my wallet, everybody else has their wallet. Now let's vote on the next president instead of these weird paper ballots having to show up and whatever's going on with all that stuff.
Right. That is a very dated system. Like say what you will. Like I'm not like, but that is super dated. There's no reason we couldn't have a more like electronically verified system in place at this point in time. Like
100%,
100% doable.
And that's
probably
where we're
a dirty
going.
reason we don't right now.
Like even today, I was thinking about like this is one of the use cases of blockchain and like NFTs in the future is like keeping your own like medical records like in your ledger, like owning your medical records. So
like think about all the people that are like keeping their fucking birth certificate under their mattress.
Exactly. Like I've got my
like
one.
why is that? I've always used that. I have always used that as an example of like those hard certificate documents would be perfect as like use case for 100%. NFTs.
Like today, like I said, I had a dental appointment. Like it was my first time going to this dental office. If I had just had my X-rays on my ledger in my own wallet,
then you could be a free agent rather than having it at the office itself. Because I just had to get new X-rays too.
And I could have skipped that whole 30-minute painful process of gagging on some fucking metal. I could have gone just straight into the cleaning. I hate it. I've got a gag reflex like no one else. So like when she's shoving that X-ray equipment down my throat, I'm like sitting there dying, having tears rolling down my eyes. I want to skip that next time.
No, that shit is not comfortable. I mean, that's next time somebody asks me why NFTs, I'm going to give them that example. Exactly. That's perfect. I mean, there's so many use cases for it.
There is.
Those hard documents are, I've always said that. Like, medical records are probably one of the most, like, art, I can understand people's debate there, but like you could easily, I feel like that's the most tangible use case.
It's really
for people to understand.
I say it and like no one can understand, but like it's literally everything in the world like can be very efficiently turned into an NFT kind of mechanism, like paying your rent, like gym memberships. This is actually one of my favorite kind of things to think about. Instead of like the one-time setup on a gym membership. Like so you pay $500 to open up your account at Lifetime, and then you pay monthly. Instead of paying $500 to Lifetime, what if you own the membership? You buy it from someone else on the secondary market that's right there in Lifetime. Like you pull up their tablet, you're like, oh, that's the cheapest pass to become a member of this gym. Let me buy the membership, and then now I pay monthly. And then when I want to leave, I can sell that membership for exactly what I bought it for, depending on like the influence that I brought to the gym. Maybe it's worth more, and I can sell that.
I haven't thought about it on that level of like. Then it gives you the reason to like make the gym a better place.
Yeah, or just like it's just so much. It's so much smarter to get everybody involved at like an ownership level, and it can really just go as far as you want with any specific thing that you see in this world. It's a lot. It's a lot to explain, but we'll see it unfold over time, and I think we'll see what happens.
There's a lot of growth to be had. Yeah, there's a lot of growth to happen there. I think as much as I've been tapped into NFTs, I think that's a good way to look at every like brick and mortar business is like bringing everybody into like the ownership aspect of a business. Mm-hmm. You can tap that into anything, and like literally anything, because then it incentivizes people like, oh, if I own this and I'm directly related to the value that this this building is going to have, because it's attached to NFTs, like. I think that's a very tangible way for people to understand like why it's important to respect. Like, you know what I mean? You think of people vandalizing buildings and businesses. Like, somebody's in Villa, they're going to be that less willing to, steal the fucking lotion bottle out of the bathroom or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
you get caught doing some weird stuff in the locker room. Like, you're out $300 on your investment.
Right. And that might not be persuasive to everybody, but I think there's a lot of people that would help persuade to be a better person. Like, and that's what that effect would truly have. Like, the monetary thing's cool and all, but like that would also just make an impact on people's willingness to be a good fucking person.
Yeah.
Because money's persuasive.
And it kind of just sparked the idea, but I'm pretty sure that's how like country clubs work. Is it not? Like 100%. They bid for their memberships, they get their memberships, and then they can sell them when they leave.
Yeah, and then they're really fucking uptight about what's going on in there. And I think if you did that on like a, where it's not $17,000 a year to have that shit, but like, if you did that with your Villa membership, you could resell. I mean, but they don't have the resale ability. That's just tapping in on the fact that they're actively paying for it. Like they're a part of the owner, like what's making it run. Like when I worked at a country club. And a lot of them are like, they make jokes like, I'm paying for your wage here, pal. Like, I'm paying for it, not just your boss. Your boss is distributing my money to you.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Whereas if you were employed and you also get like an NFT from being employed, now you're like, well, I'm actually also an owner, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the server drop. Yeah. I got the server drop.
Healthcare. I got airdropped healthcare.
Not the dental version, though. This is a
See
common.
Those x-rays? Those are mine.
This is a common. I didn't get dental. Yeah. Just vision. That's wild. Oh, wow. What about, like... This is almost Hunger Games-esque, but, like, what if NFTs were, like... What if healthcare was dropped at it? Like, an NFT, like, rarity, like...
Oh, my God.
Rarity scheme. Like, think about that.
Nobody would go for that.
Nobody would go for it, but think about it. We could do it in Elon City. And
yeah.
You might go for it. Like, yeah, I got airdropped I got the gold bear of healthcare.
Yeah, and we'll really see it happen as kind of like competition elevates itself. So like the only reason we're not seeing gym memberships run like that is because no one's done it yet. But I guarantee the first time someone does it, and we see it on the news, like this Tennessee gym, like their members are now like have $50,000 NFTs just because everybody decided to hodl. Like that's when we'll see more people do it.
With like gym memberships and their NFTs, I thought that's what their whole original kind of sale to it was something about gyms.
I don't remember hearing anything about gyms. I just know that it was able to get you like into specific events or like Discord, so you could get like a little bit more one-on-one time with the Nelk team.
Guys, yeah.
Have a little bit more input with what kind of content they're going for. Like, would you rather guys have like a party event here, or would you rather have it here?
Right.
You have your pass, let's vote. And because you have that pass, now you can attend. And I think there's so many different things that you can do with it, and we're just like barely scratching the surface of what's possible.
Right. I think, yeah, that gym membership idea is huge. So whoever's out there with the money for it, go
yeah,
for
if
it.
you have the money. I don't have the money.
I don't have the money right now. Also, shout out to fantastic music over here in the background for our foreground
Plug. So is that the 30-minute mark?
I think that's 2:30. I think it's like, what are we at right now? Like an hour? 56 minutes, yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Conversation flows fast. I mean,
because I could talk about this for the next, like...
7 hours.
7 years.
We can go for it. It can go on.
Especially once a week, you know?
I mean, yeah, seriously. I mean, that's a good point. Because, I would like to have these conversations about crypto specifically frequently, because it's something that I also enjoy. Like, I'm a student of that space.
And it's super important as, like, a content creator to be consistent. That's something I need to work on. I find myself, like, I'm involved in a lot of things, and I just get pulled every which way for whatever reason. Yeah. But it's super important to kind of, like, nail down that consistency aspect. This one guy, How to Beast, he's a YouTube creator. He said he just puts out 2 videos a week, and he's seen people who put out better content than him, people who were there before him, but the fact that he put out 2 videos a week every single week for like the last 7 years, like that's why he's so much more well off than these other creators that he experienced when he was first coming up.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of YouTube creators try to do, like, as far as consistency goes, like, I've watched YouTube creators dabble in and out of, like, being super consistent and then, like, falling off for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't want to do, that's why I said 1 to 2, probably 1 to 2 videos a week.
Yeah.
1 is super doable. 2 is, like, almost, if schedules line up, I'd like to be able to do 2. But 1 for sure.
It'd be super interesting because you're in the position where you have, like, what a lot of people don't have, like, NFT knowledge. You could implement almost like an NFT type-esque deal with your YouTube. As you grow your YouTube, maybe you get to like 1,000 subscribers, and you could like offer an airdrop or like these membership YouTube tokens. And the next thing you know, you have like 5 or 6 new people like that are marketing for you because they know if they make these passes worth more, they can dump them on someone else. It's an interesting idea.
A great advertisement. There it goes. Well, now they're gonna know. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love it, like, because I remember like first watching like Max Tuning before he like really got big. Like, if I had some kind of ownership mechanism, like I could have profited off like watching his videos, and it's just a whole paradigm shift that a lot of people aren't ready for.
I have thought about doing NFTs at some point with like what I'm trying to do here. I've thought about like whether it be like if you own into a collection I start, then that gets you like time to come onto the episode, like as that way then you could kind of like, for example, if we're doing weekly conversations about crypto and then I want to build out like a Discord community around that, so then they know like if it's a random guest coming on, like, hey, here's coming on, like this is what they do.
Yeah,
you have a question for them,
and
right? I'd be like, hey, if you want, you have access to the community to like ask questions, and then therefore you could kind of tap into the conversation of a podcast. I mean, that's kind of what Twitter Spaces is, but Twitter Spaces lacks like the visual aspect of it.
Yeah.
Which is where I think there's the opportunity to do both.
They lack a couple things. Like as we're watching the Reddit culture kind of mesh with Twitter culture, that same Spaces that I was talking about that I'm kind of like watching religiously, they have like a Reddit chat going on now, because on Twitter you can speak, you can have the Twitter Spaces and speak to each other, but there's a lot of people who don't want to come up and speak and they just want to be keyboard warriors.
Like the live chat on Reddit, yeah. No, that's
so
a
they're
huge thing,
literally using the live chat on Reddit and Twitter Spaces at the same time, and it's just getting a lot more people involved.
I think there's a huge opportunity, and I feel like Elon Musk coming in to own Twitter makes it more plausible in Twitter and Reddit doing some kind of merger there.
Yeah.
Sounds like that might be something that happens. That's if Elon Musk wants, but like, I mean, Elon Musk wants to open up like the freedom of Twitter. So that sounds about right. Yeah. That's exciting because I love Reddit and I love Twitter. So if there was some not even like merger, but compatibility like built into the two of them, that would be awesome.
Yeah, or it'd just be nice to see one of these tech giants like actually get off their ass and put something useful out.
Right.
Something that the people want. Cause
right.
I know
they're really not doing anything other than just kind of keeping it afloat.
Coasting.
Just keeping
they're
it
just
afloat.
Coasting. They're like, well, we've already made our money. Let's just coast. Like OpenSea hasn't done anything innovative at all. And it's just like...
Well, they're dealing with lawsuits after lawsuits.
Yeah.
Fucking garbage. Actually. Trying to patch holes in the ship, really.
Yeah, like back to the YouTube NFT thing, like you could like theoretically pay out your NFT holders like the royalties or the view money, the monetary stuff. Like you pay them out like a small percent, like 10%, but every single week they're getting like $5, $10 just for being a part of your community, and because of that they're going to push you a little bit harder and get all their friends to watch you, and it's a genius idea.
That is pretty big. That's pretty big. I haven't thought about it from like a organic advertisement.
Well,
like an internal advertisement team.
Like Gino the Ghost brings it up every time. It's like if Rihanna had like an NFT collection and you had 10,000 Rihanna fans, which are like super aggressive anyways already is what he says. Imagine them like being able to make money and like actually like change their lives by changing this artist's life. It's like more win-win, and that's like the whole idea behind NFTs.
Interesting. It sparks a lot of ideas.
Yeah. The spark.
That's what this is all about, baby. I love that. Yeah, no, that's huge. That definitely gives me a lot of creativity. Interesting. I'll have to think on that.
Yeah. So we're coming up on an hour. How do we wrap this up?
I don't know. I might just be like done. No, we'll call it here today because I know you'll be somebody that comes back on frequently.
Yeah.
So I don't want to squeeze you of everything interesting.
I'm gonna be hounding you more than you'll be hounding me.
Probably. No, man, but it's been great. Yeah, this is a great, like, kind of, scratch the surface introduction. I'm glad you came on. And I'm glad we're here. Like, I'm glad we're at this point.
Yeah.
Again, this is like, I said it with Elijah, but you're also somebody that for like over a year now, I know I've been talking about doing a podcast. So this is a cool moment to have you on. And
yeah, and it's good for the mental health instead of having to bottle all of this crazy.
Oh, I know. I can see it just fucking spilling out of you. I love it. I love it. And that's why I was like, dude, I always saw podcast episodes too, and I see what happening. Yeah. So yeah, to many more. They'll be coming.
Cheers.
Absolutely. And with that, yeah, I think we'll call it there. I'll cut it off. Whatever. Bam, bam. Yeah.
Word.
Boom. Over.
Nice.
Done.
Hell yeah.